are going to stick around.
The GENG, they banned Vi, Kalista, Gwen, and the Gwen is gone, so they don't even have to worry about that one. They're going to ban Nocturne instead.
Nocturne is an interesting one. Now, the Kalista is likely going to be the one taking the last spot. Something like a Varus is really skyrocketing in value here, as the Aurora going to be the final ban. So the Sylas that we were talking about before, up and available.
Yeah, maybe it's the fact that like Ahri, Alistair are gone. They're thinking the value of the Sylas is a bit lower. I'm not too sure. Maybe
might also be a Taliyah game, and Sylas doesn't do that well into Taliyah.
True, could be. But you know, I think that's the thing, is adjusting these bans as we get deeper in Fearless based on what's not available. Definitely a big factor. Rumble ban comes through. I think the priority on this pick is rising because of all these other top laners that have gone. I think of the big four on top lane right now, and it is Gwen, Jace, Ambassador, Rumble.
Nefiri first pick is really sticking to the script.
Yeah. Really is. So not giving a look in at the Varus or the Kalista. I could see GENG just securing the Varus for themselves. They could even go like Varus Taliyah, maybe looking at Kalista instead. Kalista Taliyah would be strong. I wouldn't want to play into Taliyah as a Kalista, so I think, but instead just going to go for Kalista Renata. I think if I'm D+, I just go Taliyah Varus here in response.
Well, the Varus is the first consideration. They do need to make sure that they outrange this bottom lane so they can't get bullied. That is going to help out. The Nico is the other option, and that is going to be locked away immediately for Beryl.
You know, a lot of people play Nico into Renata, and it's a good matchup, don't get me wrong, but I think there's a good amount of picks that do fine into Varus, and I think ultimately, I don't know, I think the Taliyah would have been higher priority here.
I'd agree.
Especially just, we've seen even games where Kalista's being played well, just the Rival Deer is a limiting factor. And now you're playing into that Sylas. I think this just further emphasizes it. You're giving over such a strong ult to the Sylas with that Pop Blossom. I think this Nico might come back to buy D+.
I would agree. That is a risk that they knew that they were taking, right? This was banned in game 1. And so the Sylas being locked in without any punishment available, right? Now they get to ban away a couple of things that they may not want to necessarily deal with. The Zoe going to be one of them, as Showmaker was one of our best Zoe players when she was meta, and actually was one of the only people that played her when she sort of popped up for a second.
It did get buffed. It's also really good into Kalista Renata because of the neutral play, just when you're firing the Sleepy Trouble Bubbles. I think Taliyah ban makes sense. I keep mentioning Taliyah, but I'm just kind of surprised it wasn't prioritized. I feel like it could get taken away now.
Certainly should do, and there it goes. So Taliyah taken away, and maybe another jungler here aimed against Canyon to make sure that this Nefiri pick isn't going to be
yeah, maybe like a Wukong could be good. Maybe like a Viego. I think like Wukong just really helps that dive potential onto the enemy team. Like playing into Wukong Sylas with Nico ult seems very scary. We'll see, though, what they end up going for. They go for the Lee Sin instead, giving a lot of credence to Canyon's historical Lee Sin play.
They know him well. And that's a Zed.
You can't really plan for that one.
Well, this is also what he played in, like, was it... I don't even remember whether it was this matchup, but it was when Zed jungle was just a thing for a little while. He played that Kane game. This kind of feels like the same vibe here as it just gets locked away. And now we're wondering, because Zed could go to a bunch of different places as well. And more recently, we've seen it in mid lane. Sylas could be played on the top side of the map, as there is the Vex. As she was just having a giggle, is like, what the heck's going on? Just give me Cassante, man. I just want to play something real. And that is going to exist.
This is peak Fearless, honestly.
Oh my god.
In the Zed jungle, the Vex mid, which is great against dashing champions, you know? That's one of her strengths. Although I think this champion is a little weak at the moment, which is why we don't typically see her. Cassante comes out for Shiwu. I'm looking at a Gnar potentially 4-keen into that, but tame in the top side to make up for the excitement everywhere else.
Oh my god. Think like that is not a 2v2 that I had on my radar. You know, the Sylas Zed combination, as Camille is another choice that you could make. This steers GENG away from team fighting a little bit and allows their 1-3-1 to be devastating.
But it's just so much dive potential in this top side. This feels like the sort of dive top side you see in solo queue.
Yeah, it still feels absolutely deadly.
I think it's so hard to predict. You know, a lot of champions we don't often see in pro play. I do think the bot matchup, the priority, I think, is favored towards DPLUS in the early game. And I would be scared trying to play Varus in the late game against all this dive, so they want to make things happen early.
It's time to dive onto the Rift for game number 3.
시간차에 합쳐져 오신 것을 환영합니다.
Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for the final game of this. Yeah, obviously it's going to be right now it is a 5 versus 4, as the piercing arrow is going to get a bit of extra damage here from aiming.
Got to get that mana flow band stack.
100%. That is a early advantage there, as neither team actually going to be able to find too much of a lead.
That's one thing, is in this game, you know, the poke Varus, there is a lot of squishy targets on the enemy team. The tankiest person on the enemy team is a Camille. So the value from the burst damage that DPLUS have is kind of absurd. If aiming doesn't immediately die in every fight,
yeah,
which is a pretty big if.
I do think that, like, yeah, whoever's playing with tempo is going to be the team with so much of an advantage. The opening salvo, it's whoever takes first turn.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you get the coin flip and you are going to win the game. It's very similar to the new Pokemon card game, although that is turn 2 that you really want to get that big advantage. So there you go. We'll see who's going to win those 50-50s. And honestly, as soon as you do have that advantage, you need to make sure you never give it away, but also you just have so much control.
Yeah, this is what I am a bit concerned about, though. You know, the prioritize that Nico, I felt like the Talia pickup would have been bigger, but this is why you prioritize it, because the Renata does really well into melee champions, very good at disengaging them, very good at just harassing them with autos, but there's not really a situation where Nico lets you auto-attack here.
Yeah, right now going pretty well. Having a look here at this matchup, of course, Vex just likes it if you're dashing around her. Her Doom and Gloom passive will stack up, and she'll be able to do a lot of cool stuff. Yeah, as Keen is bullying Xiu here just a little bit, but the Hextech sweep is going to be dodged there nicely.
Also, the fear, the fact you can just do the AoE fear on all these mobile divers really can shut them down quite effectively.
And Showmaker has been someone that's utilized Vex more than a lot of other people. I think him and Chovy have been the ones that have experimented with it here in the LCK. Well, not a lot of others really feeling like the Vex is an optimal choice, but it's often in this matchup, you know, or matchups like these where you're against these melees that want to be playing aggressive, and you can sort of tame them utilizing the Vex. Chain Lash coming down, Showmaker avoids a bit of the damage.
I remember seeing a decent amount of play when LeBlanc was last meta, and I think it was when she was last meta, and it was often played into that as a matchup. Because when she dashes in, you can kind of just fear her and put a full combo in.
Yep.
But yeah, Silas obviously very dash heavy, and a lot of value there. Canyon has hit level 4, does finish the clear pretty fast as you'd expect from a Zed. With that extra damage he gets to jungle monsters once they're under half HP from the passive. We'll clear out a ward bot. Not sure if you'll see a window to really gank here though, especially as Lucid is following shortly behind. And actually, if Showmaker moves here, I mean, it's a Zed, it's hard to pin down, but
can be a little dangerous. Gets a ward off himself as Chovy actually positioning really, really nicely to try and capitalize, as Lucid going to land some daggers. And Canyon just utilizes the shadow, gets himself out of there. The doggo is going to soak up some of this turret damage. That is,
this is cheeky
devastating.
Canyon, so I think the thought process here was Canyon was like, Lucid's going to head topside and think I've protected the bot side scuttle.
Yep.
Grab top scuttle, go to bot scuttle. So Canyon was like, okay, I'll sneak down and steal away bot scuttle.
Yep, good vision actually here for DK. They've invested so much towards this bottom side, as once again Canyon going to be spotted on said vision.
You know, weirdly enough,
going to be able to stop it.
You don't really think of Nefaria in this way, but she actually does a decent amount of poke for a melee champion. So if you fire like the Q at them and hit both, which means in a situation like this where Ruler and Duro are really low, it's actually scary having the Nefaria really nearby.
Low, look at this. Keen tanking this full wave.
This is just top laners limit testing.
Yeah,
you know?
Top laners that know they have biscuits, man. And biscuits also make them feel so immortal.
Know that the jungler's on here right now. I think that's a really important factor here. They're sticking around for those extra minions. But I think Shiwu understands that the last time they saw Canyon was a little bit ago. Actually, I think they see him on Raptors now, but still is going to back away.
Yeah, they also know that bot laners are coming. Yeah. It's about that time. And so Keen going to be able to finish this one up. Does manage to get that cannon there, as obviously the drama of the cannon minions the most important thing. Thanks, Jonah Strong. We are going to see the end of that Good position here for Duro, trying to make sure that he can catch anyone that happens to face check.
So, taking stock of the game, we have a pretty sizable lead in the bot lane, as expected, with aiming over Ruler. Both teams, actually I said both teams, they're not opting to swap to the top side.
Yeah,
they're opting into the skirmish over the grubs. So looking to prioritize the dragon instead, potentially. It's once again early Chemtech. I mean, I guess it wasn't last game, but we had in game 1, which means Soul likely to be better as a result.
Yeah, could imagine so. Feral just pretending to be everyone here as he shape splits and tries to tell Keen to back off. It's going to be acquiesce for the moment as the dragon is going to be started up. Grub's going to be here in 10 seconds time. As you can see, a Gromp probably next on the menu, then a move up towards those Grubs for Canyon, although, no, not the Gromp. Straight over to make sure that they can answer the initial objective take. Shiu playing pretty aggressive here. Does manage to get some damage down, and a grass proc onto Ruler.
Yep, and...
okay, it was Dandy that played it last. There you go. Of course, over at Harmer Life Esports, coaching right now, but he managed to win more than 10 years ago.
It's surprising that it didn't show up.
Oh, so that's why you play Vex.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it was Faker that played it into LeBlanc, like you were talking about before.
Yep, a lot more recent. But yeah, I think the thing with the ZED is, I'm pretty sure on release he originally was a jungler, and then people started playing him in the lanes instead.
I always thought that he started off as mid laner, but I could be wrong as Hextech Ultimatum comes down and Keen is going to flash away. Lucid going untargetable means that he's not going to be in too much trouble. Never mind, Keen moves back actually. I think he still had the bleed on him, and so was able to make sure that an extra few shots went over towards the doggo. That was a very cute play.
I think originally, if I'm remembering correctly, originally people were playing him in the jungle, and then it was to swap to solo to mid lane.
That might have been the case, but
I'm remembering that correctly. But yeah, and then he came back because they gave him some extra jungle monster killing capabilities. But didn't see play in the LCK, surprisingly enough.
All right, we're going all out onto Canyon, who does have a shadow over the wall.
I thought Showmaker might look to snipe with the ult there. Doesn't end up going for it, though. Ult used by Shiwa there, and obviously not that much value really gained from it, but in terms of value, we're seeing some power plays picked up here by the Gold King himself.
Yep, that's certainly high value. 400 gold the lead. Over Ruler at this point in time, level 6 for both of these bot laners who have been glued to one another so far this game. Very, very even as far as the experience.
A lot of power in those level 6s, specifically for Varus and Nico. Not the easiest game to land them, if I'm going to be honest. I feel like everyone on the enemy team has some way of evading it, and then Ruler has cleanse. Like even Duro has the ult from the Kalista, so might be hard for it to stick, but we will see.
This is so interesting, right? Because right now there is not a massive lead for either team. DK are ahead by a few hundred gold, but it doesn't really matter. So much of this is going to be about how the execution is going to work later on into the game, and the way these two teams are going to try to win later, like the win conditions, are pretty different. I think that playing for side lanes, playing for split push and pick here for GENG is going to be highly valuable, and then Ruler going to be able to keep Duro very safe when they're playing for mid. Things like this as Pop Blossom. Duro just caught out of position. Fate's Call needing to be invested here.
Yep, so end up getting that big cooldown from Ruler. It's a pretty long cooldown, the early Fate's Call.
But Pop Blossom and Chains of Corruption both invested.
Yeah, I think we're fully aware where Ruler was and he was going to be in range and have the 6. I definitely think they obviously went for that with the kill, but it's still a long cooldown to be unavailable, and Duro had to reset. They should be able to get another plate here.
Showmaker as well, bullying Chovy, as we can see here. Should be yet another plate as he collects that one. And so that's going to move the gold to about 1,000. As, wow, yeah, it's a full wave, so that should be another plate like you were talking about. Aiming not actually able to get in range, as the minions not able to take down the second last one just yet. Still, that is right for the picking.
From the Gold King, not just to walk up and auto it and then die to a handshake.
He has certainly done that before. There have been aimings of the past that would have made that error.
No, that's growth. That's development.
It is indeed. As Keen pressuring Shiu now. We know that this matchup is going to get more and more scary for the Cassante. Chovy does have Rod of Ages now complete. Showmaker looking for probably a Ludens to start this one off, from what I'm seeing in the inventory.
Assume so. Pretty quiet game so far, considering, you know, a lot of the champions picked are very snowbally.
Oh, we're going all out. Let's see what King can do to this one as he just hookshots his way out. Of course he does. So
yeah, this is the second time that he's ulted, and it's like, well, sure, but you're against a hyper-mobile champion who just does that.
Yeah.
You can see the thought process, but not really working out.
Yeah, the theory is there. Otherwise, not really too much more. So
I mean, if Keen missed the wall,
yeah,
then the play would have worked.
if you could somehow like get in front of him so he doesn't get off the wall as effectively or something like that, then maybe, yeah, there's an angle, but not quite. Very even are our two junglers here. Both of them just glass cannon, all damage, no CC. And Canyon will be able to grab this crab. Looks like it is going to be some more grubs to go over to GENG as well. All right, Beryl finding an angle here as Duro, remember, no Fate's Call to save him. Does still have flash.
Yep, cooldown nearly up, but you can see it takes such a long time. Aiming and Beryl both have their ultimates, but they're not often a fight for these grubs. Instead of trading objectives again, so I did Chem Tech, now the Hex Tech.
And remember, this is not one of those times where you're like, oh, it doesn't matter if they get the grubs. 6 grubs is bait, and blah, blah, blah. As Chovy has found a Pop Blossom, and he's also found a Showmaker. He does get the fear off, and he needs to be able to one rotation this Vex if he wants to kill him, because the amount of CC that he has in response is pretty high.
Yep, absolutely. See the value though, having that Pop Blossom to add into your combo as the Silas pretty big, but with a 1-stack Rod of Ages, just didn't have full damage. Now it's a Cloud Soul.
Ooh, love that.
That amount of movement speed value, although it is obviously that post-nerf Cloud Soul.
Yeah, still gonna get you zipping around the map pretty comfortably.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I feel like, you know, it's nice for the ult, you know, the on ult movement speed.
Yeah.
Like, pretty nice for Beryl. Even though you don't get much time to use it, just that little bit of movement after you initially press it can go a long way.
Feels good for aiming as well, because he presses his ult button and can run the heck away from people and kill shots and things like this.
Yeah, definitely.
That could be high value.
Yeah.
And he hasn't taken cleanse or anything like that, as of course a lot of the things that he's going to be dealing with are uncleansable. One thing that is cleansable that he doesn't have it for is the hostile takeover. So anyone standing next to aiming may do that instant die thing. That we kind of saw yesterday.
To be fair, it doesn't have that much. I mean, there's a lot of damage per auto, but it doesn't have that much attack speed.
Yeah, that's true.
A little bit less. But yeah, so 6 grubs for GENG, which again, as you said, the 1-3-1 pressure from that can be pretty big. But right now, I think DPLUS pretty confident in how the solo laners are holding up in the matchups.
Ooh, if you transform as Nico into Neferi, do you get little doggos? Do you get even more doggos?
I was wondering that at the start of the game, because if you don't, then surely it's just immediately obvious.
Yeah, right. And so, but there has to be more doggos, right? Because that's the best thing, is that you just get more doggos on the Rift.
That is, well, that's why we're all here, right?
Exactly. We're here for that and the Cho'Gath skin from last game.
I mean, last game we had the Corgi.
Yeah, Corgi as well.
Yeah.
Man, it's so good. Oh, we don't have the hot dog Neferi though, which is another absolute banger of a skin. I don't think he's playing it.
I thought he was. I'm sure I saw him with it earlier.
Really? Did I just not see it? Am I just assuming that he doesn't have the hot dog?
No way they're not using the hot dog Neferi skin. Every game since that's been out, I've seen hot dog Neferi.
Really? No, we didn't. We saw yesterday was like the arena Neferi skin.
Ew.
You know, the, what is it, like Borderlands / Akami Neferi.
I mean, it's a good skin, but it's not the hot dog Neferi, you know?
It's not.
It's not peak. We'll see. I'm pretty sure it's hot dog Neferi, and if it isn't, I'm going to be...
It is.
There
It is.
we go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Whoa. All right, beautiful. We've had some great skin choices.
I wouldn't be able to take that betrayal from Lucid, I'm going to be honest.
Yep.
Especially on Chronicler's birthday.
Indeed. All right, Chu. Now up against Chovy here, who does have the ability to steal away a all-out if he would like to.
Yeah, and also
he doesn't want to.
The itemization from Shiwu early doesn't tend well into playing against an AP champion.
No.
Although I don't think Silas is that much of a threat for Xante this early in the game.
Little suboptimal. Now, both of these teams just feel so incredibly happy to just scale. until later in the game. I can imagine that GENG, probably because they've got a Camille, who in a side lane, as we can see here, is just going to be a menace. First turret going over to GENG there, and they are one objective away from locking down feats of strength entirely. No one's very close to feats of warfare. Did you know that?
Oh, I just noticed, yeah.
Okay, our latest First Blood, by the way, is around 16 minutes into the game.
We might beat it. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Vex, I feel like I don't know. I feel like it's hard to judge the scaling a little bit in this game. There's a lot of picks where it's like, it's not so much about about just getting the late game, but it's like they're very strong when they're snowballed. Like, I feel like a Vex one behind is underwhelming. The Fury one behind, Kalista, Zed. So I think it's not about just farming up, it's about being ahead of the curve as well. Which right now, everyone is kind of just following the curve.
Yeah, everyone...
Not even a curve, it's just a gradient. They're just heading gradually upwards.
Yep. Slight lead for Canyon and for Keen as far as the top and jungle are concerned, but then there's the lead for aiming and barrel as well towards the bottom side of the map. So no one really being able to gain any ground. Rift Herald going to spawn, 16 minutes on the clock right now. And Showmaker in position to go for something here. Remember, if GENG stack up, that AoE fear can be really scary.
TP in the bot lane? I guess the thought process is if he stops Chovy TP, then it doesn't matter.
We could get an all-out and then an all-out as the response. That'd be really funny. As Chovy instead just going to steal it away and then backs away as well. It's going to be his turn now to reset. His teleport just barely back off cooldown. And the Rift Herald going to get started here by the Hot Dog.
I think DPLUS it's going to be really risky to fight this now with Chovy having TP and Shiwu not having it. Shiwu can just get this turret, but that even more puts emphasis on the fact that GENG could TP in their mid lane to contest this. Looks like the priority is the Dragon though instead.
Yep, and that does make some sense. Shiwu down here as well. It does mean that if they do then transition over towards the Dragon, then they have their Cassante already pushing up this wave and taking that turret on the bottom side. 500 gold to lead here for DK as that turret does fall.
Did you just see Ruler's Cleanse got burned? You saw in the picture-in-picture by Aiming's ult, but Aiming no longer having ult for this fight. They're all looking for this Dragon. It's getting low. Lucid's trying to find a look in.
Yeah, Lucid is in a bit of danger here is what it kind of feels like to me. Of course, can go untargetable and keep himself safe as he doesn't get the smite. Shiwu now dives in on top of all of them as he tries to get out. There's a Pop Blossom onto 3 somehow from Barrel with the first kill. Gonna go down already. Keen gonna get bailed out pretty quickly, and there it goes. Down goes the Vex, and Aiming in a whole host of trouble. Chovy looking for his first one as Canyon getting on in there. Barrel going to be his target as Lucid jumping on top of Ruler, but Ruler gets over the wall with a gorgeous flash. The handshake says top of the morning to you, and down goes the Hot Dog. And it's just that bottom lane left alive, but are they going to be alive for much longer as Chovy out of turret range, and that is going to keep him alive here as GENG, they grab themselves the feats of warfare even though they didn't need them in an instant.
Huge fight win for GENG. They stop the Dragon stacking and get kills exactly where they want them, you know, 2 on the Zed, 1 on the Camille. And here, awkward spot to try and contest, but against a Zed who has that percentage HP damage on the passive, easy to secure. The ult that comes out from Duro is massive. And then yes, look at all this damage that goes on a Keen, but the bailout comes through and they don't even finish him off. They don't even get him into the bailout. Turnaround comes through, and then you see Aiming fires a Q, tries to hit Keen and Ruler and misses.
Oh no.
And then once again, another attempt to pick up Ruler at low HP. Lucy just isn't able to connect again onto the Kalista, and looking rough for DPLUS fans.
It really is. And we haven't even really spoken about it that much. There was a rule in the LCK before Ruler left. And I used rule without intending any puns. I apologize for that one. And that was, you just never give him Kalista. That is absolutely illegal. And he barely played it because it was banned every single game, even when she wasn't as high priority as she is now. And so this is certainly a dangerous option. Was put behind in lane. The problem is that now we're not in lane anymore. Now he has access to the Fate's Call and he can play out the team fights like he does so incredibly well on this champion. It's continuing to be the case. Chovy also with just all of the agency in the world as his doggo's needing to be pulled out as Chovy gets in there on top of Lucid. Aiming's going to be around, and Chovy takes that as just a reason to steal away his ultimate. Blue buff, I believe, was secured, and it was. by DK. He's now keen, looking for an angle.
Aiming no flash.
Yeah, Hextech Ultimatum comes down. Pop Blossom in answer though, and it lands onto 3, but over the wall goes Chovy and helps pick up the bottom lane. The Vex now coming in and finding some value. They get 2, and Duro goes down as well. It's a 1-team fight already, but can DK get more? As we're getting the resets, and Showmaker gets on top of Ruler. No cleanse is going to cleanse him out of that one as the Nefiri Bleed takes down the Kalista, and DK ain't done yet.
Huge overstep there from GENG. Look at the dive aiming under the tower. And the thing is, against a Vex, the difference between getting that initial kill and not getting it in the previous fight, the momentum they found, and now they get a chance to throw down that Herald mid. And just when things looked like they were slipping away from DPLUS, they fight back.
Oh man, this... I wasn't expecting the back and forth. I thought that from that one fight for GENG, it would just be a whimper, but instead...
I wonder if they actually thought it was Nefiri there, because Beryl's ult was massive and completely negated the dive. They might have actually just got it mixed up at that moment, but then Showmaker getting the ult resets, able to chase again and again and again. Here manages to get the fear as well. It is cleansed, but it doesn't really matter in the long run.
We are seeing a lot of X value
and actually,
this game.
When you play the Nico and you copy, I saw it there, it does have the little dogs with him.
Yeah.
It does look, well, the little hot dogs. So it did look like Lucid, and I genuinely think that's might have been what happened is they saw it was just Lucid and they're like, okay, we can dive this. I didn't expect a Pop Blossom to come out, which was massive from Beryl. And even though Eamon did go down, I think that's kind of how this game is going to go. You're going to die. How much value will you get
as much damage down first.
Yes.
And that's precisely what he's going to be looking for. Of course, does have the Ghost Blade now as well for trying to avoid as much as he possibly can. But I agree with you. The more like he can move GENG out of position, the more they have to overextend to finish him off. That's going to be the question. It's not like, is he going to die? Because yes, he is. It's about how long it's going to take and how much value he can get beforehand.
Yeah.
As Shiva playing a little bit aggressively here. You can see now 2-1 and 2 on the Cassante as a result of that last skirmish. And has about a 700 gold lead. Is now Chovy caught in a side lane as Lucid going untargetable. It is going to be a bit of value here, but unfortunately, that ultimate not going to do anything to save his life. And now the mid laner is dead for GENG.
Don't do it, don't do it. It was a good pick.
Atakan is not the answer.
No, definitely not. Dragon's up, head down towards there. Great play though, finding that pick on a Chovy, and the damage between Lucian and Showmaker pretty high already, able to shred through that bulkier Silas there.
Yeah, and that is going to be Shadow Flame almost completed.
Okay, this is a straightforward play, so I just want you to watch the animations. The little hot dog thing that comes out, the hot dog again when he pops the W there.
And it's just mustard flying around.
I admire the skin. That's what we got out of that replay.
Yep. Oh, it's beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. And he's looking for an angle, but he won't find one. So this dragon is going to be soul point for DK. There's still only 300 gold in the lead, and now Lucid just might be dead as he pops into the brush and like ships in the night. Oh God, Canyon actually not able to get over the wall, but then just blows up the camp and then walks away. Everyone misses everything.
There is a huge farm lead for Canyon right now, and if you look at the items, he has that Black Cleaver complete already. Okay, well, we did just see Lucid pick up the Spirit Surgeon, so it doesn't look as bad now. Still, big farm lead, about 1,000 gold ahead. But playing into the Nefiri, it's actually really hard for the Zed to look for a 1v1 because you have that untargetability on your W. You can just negate his ult. You know, if you get the timing right, like you can with like the Sandra, Zhonya's, or various other things, if you time it right, the death mark doesn't even apply, and then you just lose so much of your damage from your all-in. So I think Canyon not really interested in 1v1 in Lucid. Maybe perhaps as a certain Archer-based character, he's more inclined to try and 1v1.
By the way, would you say that Shadow Flame is Vex's signature item?
It does feel like it.
Because, like, you know, all of her abilities are shadowy.
I do feel like there's definitely some items where you feel like you can link them with a specific champion.
Like Zhonya's and Morgana.
Yeah.
It's okay. Lucid looking for Ruler. Ruler is very close to the Ruler spot, but he's got a bunch of friends this time around. There is nothing in this game, ladies and gentlemen. Chovy is going to take the Nefiri ult. He might have been trying to take Beryl's, but if Beryl stays as Nefiri, whose ult does Silas steal when he uses Hijack?
You asking me to... I swear we've seen this before, but I honestly forget.
Because I don't know whether they were just sharing pixels and he clicked the wrong dog, or whether that's actually how it works, that if you are pretending to be a champion, then that's the champion whose ultimate you steal. Silas questions, man. Silas questions. Everyone loves them, don't they?
Yeah. I wish I had all the answers.
Yeah.
Oh, and speaking of the items linked to champions, you know which item I think is really linked to a champion?
What's that?
Blade of the Ruined King. Can you guess which champion?
Oh. Is it Viego?
Oh, just spot on.
Wow, how did I guess that?
Yeah,
it might be because I know all about all of the lore of League of Legends ever.
Yeah, if you didn't do those lore readings,
yeah, exactly.
You wouldn't know. People are probably like, really?
And if I didn't play through the entire video game that he had made about him and about all of that when they were coming out,
yeah,
as well, which I totally did.
Yeah,
that's something that Chronicler did do. Do you know what he didn't do?
Wait,
oh no, it's his birthday.
Isn't Eclipse just like a Draven axe? It does look like one kind of.
Yeah, it's either that or it's a Katarina dagger. But it feels a little bit more relevant for Draven. As Canyon moving down towards his bottom side as Sheer. There is a Hextech ultimatum problem that he has. Deathmark going to come on through and they will not put their backs against the wall, so he had no way out. And down goes the top laner. On the other side of the map, no opportunity for a cross map here as they wouldn't be able to do Otacon in time. And Keen has teleport.
Yeah, I mean, Canyon making good use of that Black Cleaver. Shredded Shiwu there, and the true damage from Keen going pretty big.
Yeah.
A lot of high-value objectives on this top side of the map, and you can see teams contesting control with that vision that's set up there. But Keen, ever a menace in the side lanes on this pick.
And it's going to mean that the gold lead is starting to become significant, right? 1.5k, and I guess it's not that significant, but it's the biggest one we've had so far.
Yeah, 6 grubs though on Camille. I think the one thing to say though is we have Soul coming up in a minute 30, Baron and Atacana alive. That was a good play.
Chains of Corruption comes down. Where is the Callista? There she is.
Gets the Mikhails and the Chains of Corruption. That's big.
Yeah.
But as I was saying, obviously that pick was great from Canyon, but like, that's probably the last time you're going to get an opportunity to go bot lane and pick a target, because with the Atacana and Baron up, playing a dangerous game anytime the jungler moves that far south of the mid lane.
Yeah, this control ward down very low. Of course, I believe was worked on a little bit earlier there by Lucid. Does go back, takes that one down. So Voracious Otacon up and available here for both teams. And now Canyon getting jumped on by Lucid. Going untargetable momentarily, but he does have that shadow over the wall, so he's going to be fine.
They want to force the TP from Keen. GENG, it's a test of patience, because if it gets low enough, then you do TP in, but it's Camille. You can TP a bit late and instantly have impact. Don't want to get forced early.
Well, Ruler coming on over. Shape Splitter will be up.
They've committed the TP. I think DPLUS just back off. It's still 12,000 HP.
Just get out of there, Shiu. Just standing in the front line, making sure that he can play gatekeeper to the rest of GENG. They want to make sure that it does actually reset as Keen. Looking for that flank angle, looking for that opportunity. The rest of DK staying stalwart, seeing what they can do. As GENG a little bit split is what it feels like, but if they time it correctly, it can be devastating here for DK. Duro still down very, very low, and there's no Fate's Call. Remember, Pop Blossom finds 3. The Otacon is taken by GENG, though they have the extra life. As now, Showmaker taking so much damage. Into the backline goes Keen. It's a DK disaster, and GENG just roll over the top.
Decimation, it's so hard to contest the Otacon against the Callista, against the Zed, the execute value. It's secured by GENG, but even if it wasn't, they just demolished them in the fight.
No chance whatsoever. We know the danger of this Otacon, and GENG, they are the ones that learnt it the most. They see another team make the mistake and they capitalize.
I think it's just so difficult. You know, they're trying to force their way into the pit. You see the Pop Blossom comes out, but even though it hits a lot, the follow-up's not immediate. The Sphere, again, big value, but in the meantime, Chovy and Keen are just running rampant.
Yeah.
Keen in particular is so strong right now, because Camille's kind of just hit critical mass, and they're just not able to cut through him quick enough. You know, I said the tankiest target on the side of GENG is Keen, but he's feeling like he's unkillable at this point.
Yep, and Chovy's getting tankier and tankier as well. Has himself some Merc Treads that he just purchased, immediately upgraded. And I don't know whether the DK Dragon Soul Dream is going to be alive for very much longer, as they do take down the second Cloud Drake for GENG. As Lucid just wanted to get something out of his own jungle Handshake not going to stun him up there as his own dog's being used against him.
The thing is, with like a Neferi, a Vex, and I mean, all the composition of DPLUS, they got a lot of burst, but when you're behind like this, it's going to take everything in the kitchen sink to kill some of these bulkier targets.
Yep.
And the thing is, even if you kill someone now, they're just recalled. So, Chains of Corruption misses.
Yeah, and also Keen has a Guardian Angel as well, so you not only have to kill him once, you have to kill him again. As GENG splitting, they have got Canyon in the mid lane as Lucid looking for the angle there. Canyon might just be dead, and yeah, he's not going to be getting out of this one. So the recall or the withdraw going to be procced. The rest of GENG now focusing on taking down this inhibitor turret on the bottom side as Keen looks to dive in. Pop Blossom used defensively here against Chovy as his Chains of Corruption are going to miss. And still the inhibitor goes down. Still Chovy is fighting. Still he realizes that he's just got a withdrawal. So he's going to be able to proc that as Shiu going down so incredibly low. And there is that true damage from Keen to execute the Cassante. GENG, they take what they were looking for and they only have to send a few people home just for a little while.
You know, since the nerfs to the Arakan, I feel like we've seen less and less voracious Arakans have a big impact, but I think GENG did a fantastic job making the use of it here. Chovy hitting barrel here, forcing out the Pop Blossom, which is one of their big team fight tools. And then they take the inhib, damage starts to come through as well, but it's so hard because even if a window opens up, the Renata, this ult, makes it so hard to follow up on any low HP targets. Keen takes out the Cassante at the end. The damage is done, they got that inhibitor.
Yeah. Looking very, very dire for DK here in this game. 9,000 gold plus the lead here for the Tiger Nation. And they are just going to move now towards the top side. Baron still up for another 10 seconds time, but I don't even know whether they need it to get a siege happening on this turret. Yeah, that is a control ward. He's decided that he doesn't want to kill it. As if they teleport, then maybe that is a chance to just kill all of them.
Coach Kim will have some notes on that one.
Yeah, we'll just have to see. As now, DK wanting to get this defense working as Ruler's going to get Pop Blossomed. Ruler diving on top of him, or attempting to, as Chovy is the problem. He's got a Pop Blossom of his own, and they take down aiming. Canyon, absolutely absurd damage as well, and he just gets himself out. The death mark was just so good. And, wow, Cassante was there. Okay, Shiu very, very far north, but he is also going to be eviscerated. 5-0 and 6 for the ZED jungle of Canyon. And they're going to be able to take another inhibitor. This might just be the end of the game right now, and GENG looking to stay undefeated here in the LCK. And DK staying defeated against GENG despite everything they were able to get done in this series. Showmaker goes down yet again. Canyon on about 0 health, but he doesn't really need too much. And Duro diving on into the fountain. The Nexus will fall. And the fate of DK is to continue to be just this close.